This is a sketch that I did during a workshop long session class with Ohn Mar Win through Skillshare. It was one of the Chroma classes, so it was all focused on watercolor techniques that Ohn Mar uses on a regular basis. We had a different subject for each day of the multi-week class. So in the beginning, we were learning how to use minimal brush strokes to get the essence of whatever subject it was. So for this one, and we couldn't use any ink initially. It was just watercolor. So this one we did goldfish, and then we moved on to shells. And we could use any colors we wanted to, but we were trying to really capture how to get marks and brush strokes down to explore how a subject looked without going overboard. So loose florals, loose watercolor application. And we did jellyfish. This one was really fun. I'd love to explore this more, and I've got some beautiful bleeds that happened. Love a good watercolor bleed. And seahorses were definitely one of my favorites for this session. This is a point where we started, I think we started adding in ink because it looks like I've got some ink work in there too. And then lobsters is another really fun one. Little intimidating, but really fun, especially capturing the hairs off their claws. And then we did starfish. And this one I really loved. We did coral. We have sea plants. So it was really fun to use minimal brush strokes and really manipulate the brush in different ways to capture the shapes of each of the coral pieces. This one I really enjoyed. I wasn't expecting to, but it was really fun to explore how to capture the shape of each of the vintage bowls and dishware, and then how to get the essence of their designs without going overboard. So it was fun to go back into some retro designs and patterns and look through some inspiration, and also kind of I found ones that were ones that we had growing up that were my mom's. So that was really fun to do that. Unexpected fun. And then we did clocks. This one I really wanted to go for a wide range of different time period clocks and get a range of dates. This one was definitely chosen for a nostalgia aspect. We have a cuckoo clock like this in my parents' house, and I can remember as a child just thinking it was so cool. And then we did cassette tapes. This was another fun, surprising one, playing with the idea of minimal line versus color and then inking in the lines afterward, and then playing with what happens. I tried to play a cassette tape while I was painting cassette tapes in my old 90s stereo, and ended up eating the tape. But then it gave inspiration for a way to fill the page in an unusual way. Then this one I loved. I really was not expecting to enjoy painting chairs, but I really looked for different kinds of chairs. Again, like I did with the clocks, I wanted to have different types of chairs so I could really play with different shapes and different angles. And I love this. Like the Eames chair is the one that my husband is hoping to have someday. So that was kind of a tribute to him. And then just some really fun furniture. I don't know, maybe there's some more furniture illustration in my future, but this was really enjoyable page to work on. Then we did telephones, and again I wanted to get a variety of different telephones from different time periods. This one was a struggle. I think I was a little rushed. If it looks a little rushed, kind of, I feel like the other ones that I love more, I'd taken more time on and was more mindful about each, touch of the brush and mark with the pen. But it was still a great day. This one we were doing bowls and cups, so it was another chance to go back in with some really small details after the fact. And I wanted to go for some huge variety again and try to see if I could mimic the colors and the patterns. This one I love. It was one of those glazed mugs. So I really wanted to try to capture the essence of those colors of the glaze bleeding into each other. So I was really happy with how that came out. I also really love this one over here. Just the essence of the flowers, but still capturing everything that they were about. It was really nice. And then we did cameras. So again, I wanted to kind of do a play on different photography from different time periods, and then add, I had such a small space down here, I decided to add a roll of film unraveling. I have a background in photography, so this was kind of fun to look at the different types of cameras that I've used myself in the past for this side, and then some more of the historic cameras on the left. And then we did doors. This one, I only ended up doing 2, but I really enjoyed this. I loved the, capture, really looking for interesting architecture and how I could indicate that with the ink and the watercolor, and really just kind of play with this idea. I'm really fascinated by doors and windows, so I think this is something I might come back to down the road. And then we had to do something around our house, and since I do all sorts of different media, I decided that I wanted to play with that. So I've got a close-up of my watercolors and some of my favorite brushes, my big watercolor palette, some more my acrylic paints. I think these were actually gouache paints that I had out for a different project I was working on, and then a tangle of embroidery floss, because embroidery works its way into my mixed media work as well. And then we did windows. So like the doors, looking for interesting architecture, different windows around the world as inspiration, how to get the essence of, the reflection of the light and some of the texture that was happening, and just still being loose with it. Kind of some small indications of the material and that the windows and the walls that hold them were made out of. And we went to the kitchen. This one was a challenge. So this one I didn't use ink for this. I was just trying to get the essence of these tools. So it's a can opener, a melon baller, some spoons. This is an old juicer where you cut the lemon or orange in half and twist it over the domed part to get the juice to come out. So not terribly successful in my opinion, but it was still a really good exercise. And then we went on to utensils, so forks and spoons and knives. This one worked a little bit better. I did a lot of practice before going into this page, and that helped a lot. Just kind of where to put the paint and where to let it be open, and then where to add lines to fill in the rest of the details without outlining it all the way. And then we did radios. This was another fun one, just looking for different interesting radio shapes that I could capture, and then ways to use the ink with the watercolor to define, one edge from another, in different aspects of each radio. It was very cool. And then we did keys. Again, I wanted to look for different interesting keys. I really think vintage keys and historic keys are really neat. So I wanted to get some of those, but then also kind of play with more of the modern designs too, and see how much interest I could add to those. And then we did plants. This one, I feel like if I zoomed out more on this, I would have liked it better, because I really enjoy what happened over here where I stepped back and captured, the top of the plant down to the bottom of its face. But I still also really love some of the bleeds that happened there and the play of the watercolor. It was really fun. And then we started working our way through different florals. And this was tricky. Loose florals for me aren't something that come naturally. And each day we had a different type of flower. So, and I don't remember all of them. And flowers are not my strong suit as far as my memory goes. But each day was a different one, and sometimes I just focused on the one versus multiple of them. Roses were really tricky. I did a lot of practice before I got to this page, and kind of understanding when to use the watercolor and when to let the ink do the talking as far as communicating the image. And then we did daisies. This one was from Life. I had actual daisies that I had bought, or whatever these are. I bought those, so I had some different views I could look at to try to capture the essence of the flower. And then this one was also from Life. We had some of these. I bought a mixed bouquet, so I had some different flowers to use for each of the days. And I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed capturing, between the watercolor and the ink, capturing the different essence of the spikiness of the petals. That was fun, and letting the purples and the greens bleed into each other. And then daffodils. This was another tricky one. Hard to capture the essence of a daffodil for me, but it was a good start to playing with these flower shapes. And then this one I think was the most fun, just because I really let loose and just played with the marks of the paintbrush, and then indicating some of the other petal details with the ink lines, and just really being super loose with the flowers going down into the green leaves and stems. And that was it. So it was a really fun class with Ohn Mar Win. I really love, she has such an amazing way of working with watercolor that challenges me, because it's nothing like I had done previously in my own watercolor explorations and growth as an artist. So it was super fun. So thanks for checking out what I created with her. This was quite a long time ago. This was February 2020 to March 2000, or sorry, February 2022 to March 2022. So it was 6-month class, 6-week class, give or take. It was just really fun. It was a really enjoyable one. So, till next time.